just like I was supposed to.
Awesome.
All right, good morning, everybody. How's it going? Nikki Burnett here, Taste Life Nutrition. This is Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live on KUHSdenver.com, where we're now hitting, I don't have numbers yet, but close to 200,000 people, which is cool stuff.
Yeah. Very cool.
So good stuff. I think it's all because we have some really cool, amazing, gifted, talented, giving, serving people who join us on the show who have a lot to share, a lot to give, and that's what it's all about, right? So what life is about is sharing our gifts, lifting people up, and just being healthy so we can live well. And that's what we want, is to live well, and we want to spread as much of that around as we can. My goal always is to bring on people who have the ability to share with you things that maybe you don't know, maybe you do know. But let's broaden what it looks like to be healthy, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, all of the things that help to really help us live a well-rounded, full, amazing life, because really we just have a really short time here.
Too short.
I know. And every year it just seems to get shorter and shorter and shorter. So today we have Dr. Isaac Muberry, who's been on with us before, but I think that a lot of times something that we don't think about is our posture or ergonomics, or what does that really mean when it comes to our entire health, right? And so when I say that, it didn't really come out very well, but it's really more about, how our body's functioning, right? So we may look at ergonomics. We may look at our posture, and are we straight up like you are, like you're supposed to be, or are we kind of slumped like this, right? Yeah, and what is that doing? Does it affect our gut health? Does it affect our neurological health? What is it doing to our body if we are not sitting in a way that biomechanically allows for the body to function, biomechanically and neurologically, right, allows the body to function the way that it's supposed to function. So, Dr. Isaac, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to connecting.
Yeah.
I liked your intro, and I like the connecting part, because I think we're so disconnected at times in our communities, or even to our own bodies.
Yes.
And so the connection, that's my word of the year, actually.
Connection.
Yes.
I love it.
So I appreciate being able to connect with you as well as the audience here on the show.
Yeah. It's so true, and that's something that I speak to a lot. We have lost the connection with our bodies, and obviously with the world the way that it is, we've lost a connection with each other, but we don't know how anymore, and I say this very generally speaking, but we don't know how anymore to listen to our body, to listen what it's trying to tell us, because if we have a pain, then it's your body talking to you. If we have brain fog, if we have a gut pain, whatever the case may be, it's our body trying to talk to us. And what do? I need to take an Advil, or I need to take a Tums, or something like that.
Or it's not that bad, I'm not going to do anything until it screams at me, or I'm totally broken.
Exactly.
So as a typical guy, that's what guys often do, but I think in our Western culture, we aren't taught to be too intuitive with how our bodies are actually functioning and performing for us and giving us signs and symptoms.
Yeah.
There's no normal symptom that, hey, you have a problem that's materializing. Maybe it's not a big glaring issue, but maybe it is, and it's only a small little symptom that you're experiencing.
Sorry, I forgot that part.
Yep, no worries. So yeah, it's great to be here and be able to share, because I think when you mentioned posture, there's so much more to posture than just ergonomics.
Right.
But ergonomics are very important, and so just as far as what we feel like we're doing during the day, some people are working on computers, laptops, or on their technology, and they get hunched over with their shoulders rounded and their heads out. Your head is essentially the weight of a bowling ball.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been bowling, those are heavy balls, and especially if you try to hold one up. Imagine if you were holding one up
kind of
and
amazing,
you just
yeah.
move it forward a little bit, and so you can feel that strain on the back
Yeah.
of your wrist and your hand and your arm. And that's essentially what we're putting our body through day in and day out. There's so many white-collar people nowadays that are having neck fusion surgeries, or they have numbness and tingling, or they're getting headaches and migraines. And one of the biggest issues is they're not dialed into ideal ergonomics, and they're ignoring their body's own signals of saying, you have stiffness. A lot of times stiffness is the first sign of a problem that's occurring in the nervous system and this biomechanics of the body.
Yeah.
So that's a huge, in my opinion, flag for you to understand that, hey, there's a problem, I should actually address this through, maybe it's my ergonomics, or assessing what am I doing during the day that's contributing to this. Could be even foods that you're eating and it's causing more inflammation in your body. But stiffness is, I think, one of the very first symptoms that some people will see that should tell them and that they need to investigate what's going on. What is wrong with my lifestyle?
Yeah. So we got to put a halt on it real quick, because we've got one thing that's very, very important. We got to start the show with gratitude.
Yes, indeed.
So, what are you grateful for?
I am grateful to be able to connect with as many people as that you have in your viewership, and I think that's awesome that you've been able to connect with that many people to date so far. It's been, what, a little more than 2 years that you've been doing this, so it's awesome.
No, this is our 4th year.
Is it the 4th year? Okay.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah,
so
time
full
flies.
3, it does. It's amazing. So same. I am, super grateful for this audience and for this this platform, to be able to share what I want to say, but then share the gifts of so many other people. It really is a gift to be in my position, to know so many people who are here literally to share, to care, to give, to love, to help, to educate, to inform, to do the things that that can help all of us, including me, because I need a lot of help, to live well and to live beautifully. And it doesn't mean that we don't go through junk, because we all do, but that's why we surround ourselves with people who are here to lift us up, and which I think is so important. I'm very intentional about the people who I surround myself with, and I'm intentional about the people who I bring on the show. And I that intentionality is, it's just kind of this mindset, and I want to be lifted, I want to lift, and I want those around me and those who I share who are, who have the same mindset and goals. So super grateful for that, and thankful that you're here. And let's go ahead and continue. So guys, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, it's okay. I
gotta,
know you like to start your shows with
Yeah.
that, and somehow we missed that.
Yeah.
But we got it.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So talk first a little bit about what your background is. So if people don't know you, how is it that you can talk about ergonomics and biomechanics? What makes you so
Certainly.
cool?
Thank you. So my background is I've been a chiropractor for almost 16 years now, and I started off in the sports injury rehab model, but then myself, and this kind of goes to what you're talking about, we all have junk, right? My junk was, I had experienced chiropractic at a young age, and I slipped on a rock fishing and hurt my back.
Ooh.
Yep, and so my mom took me to a chiropractor when I was 8 years old. And then playing sports growing up, I played basketball and soccer as a goalie, so I was diving all over the place. And so that's continued me going to seek chiropractic care, my parents taking me for that. And that's how I experienced it, and I experienced immense benefit and relief. And I think that's how a majority of people experience chiropractic. But 5 years or so into being a chiropractor, I had the worst severe back pain. I had numbness and tingling into my legs.
You're like, I'm a chiropractor. What's wrong with me?
Right? Yeah, I'm like, I'm supposed to be helping people, and I can't even figure this out for myself. I barely could get my pants on and my shoes on. I barely could work, I was like, can I even continue to be a chiropractor? Continue on for over 6 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Horrible, yeah.
And I couldn't play with my daughter, help out around the house, and so that's when I connected with a colleague who showed me how I've been addressing it. Was more from like say an ibuprofen type of approach. Well, you only do something when it hurts, which I think that's a majority of our society for the most part. And so once I changed how I was addressing my own personal health, that's when I started seeing the benefits of, you know, being more proactive. So after even I had that episode nipped in the bud, I was able to continue on, and then over, that's 10, 11 years ago now, I've never had one episode remotely close to that, and I've been able to do everything I wanted with the quality of my life, as maintained where I want it to be. I can play with my kids, do house chores and play and all that stuff without having those.
Thankful for that.
Yeah, right. And the limitations I had experienced, and so I changed my focus to being more of a neurologically brain-based approach to being more proactive versus just reactive, even though that's usually how I meet people, is from a reactive stance.
Yeah.
But helping to get them feeling better, but also show them what is possible and how they can take care of their nervous system, because nobody really ever thinks about how do I take care of my nervous system. When we're thinking about health and wellness, we're thinking about exercise, we're thinking about nutrition and supplements and things like that, and we don't really think of our nervous system, which is controlling all the functions in our body. How do we maintain that? Because some people have heard of dysautonomia, and poor posture actually can lead to dysautonomia, where your body gets stuck in the fight or flight phase, and your body can't heal and rest and digest the way it's supposed to, so it can cause problems when you have poor posture. And poor posture is just as simple as your head being forward in front of your shoulders, and that's something that is commonly referred to as tech neck or technology neck or forward head posture.
Amazing these new terms that we have that never existed before.
Right, exactly. And so that can influence vital lung capacity, which puts more stress onto the heart, can decrease digestive ability, and even if you're in dysautonomia, it causes different things like anxiety and maybe depression and infertility and things like that. So there's so many issues that the nervous system is impacting in our body. It's impacting everything.
Well, I think it's so important to remember that there may be one symptom, but there's always that spiral. Right, and it's always that connection. I often wish I had this. I have this little bubble graphic, you know, that is really helpful. That's the circle, right? You've got the stress, and then you've got the fatigue, and then you have the GI disorder, which then creates the stress, and then more fatigue, and so. But you can throw any number of symptoms and stuff in there, but then it just grows, and you get more bubbles and more problems, and it's this spiral. And it's the understanding that it's all connected. And, you know, if you have anxiety or depression, you know, let's start thinking about, are you sitting up straight, you know, or is your GI functioning properly? Or, you know, asking the questions, you know, a number of questions. And sometimes we need help with that. I mean, that's why we do what we do, so we can help people to sort of uncover what is going on at the core, right, the root cause of the problem, instead of just saying, okay, so let's give you a supplement or give you a drug, or let's just do a snap, crackle, pop, right? It's that understanding of what is it that's creating the problem and addressing that, so then the body can do the rest. And all of those are things that are important. We might need drugs for a bit. We might need supplements. Supplements are great. I love snap, crackle, pop. But we got to understand why it's happening, especially if it's continuing to happen, and how to break the cycle.
Yeah. So just on that point,
I
want to use this as an illustration. If you have, do you think your toe impacts your heart?
Oh, I love this.
Right? And so you're like, how does my toe impact my heart? You're like, so like if you had high blood pressure, right? Well, if I came over and stepped on your toe, you're like, ow, but your heart rate's also going to go up. And over time, if that pressure on your toe persists, your heart's trying to figure out, how do we adapt to this stress?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you start looking at the heart and you think, well, I need a high blood pressure medication, or maybe I need to change my diet. But you need the proper testing to evaluate what's going on.
Right.
Right? And so, and this was something that really hit home to me that I heard recently. And I think I'm going to incorporate it. Still trying to figure exactly how to do this in my practice, but with a new client, asking them, what are your priorities? Or like your values, really. So what are your values? And some people say, well, I'm dedicated, I'm honest, I'm loyal. But then it's like, well, how about, is health a value that you have? And I think a lot of people think of like wanting to be healthy, but then it's not really a value to them. And especially if you look at the state of our country, I mean, there's almost 60% of people have a chronic disease, right? And I heard another stat recently, it was like 94% of people are metabolically unfit.
Isn't that amazing?
It's crazy.
It is crazy, and it's fascinating to sit back and to think of all of the reasons why. And metabolically unfit, we may not realize, we don't understand, we don't always feel the symptoms of being metabolically unfit, right?
And we don't necessarily always feel the symptoms of having, say, poor posture, poor ergonomics, until all of a sudden you start developing numbness and tingling, or maybe it's carpal tunnel, or whatever it might be. And it's like, well, this has been building for some time, so it's so important to have people on your team, healthcare team, that are doing testing to help you identify problems before they become bigger problems, and you become one of those stats of a chronic disease, of osteoarthritis or different arthritic issues, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, all these things that if you do things and you're wanting to be proactive, you just need to find the right providers, because they're out there to provide you the resources that you need to be able to have to make the best choices for you and your family's health.
And all of the things that you just mentioned, and most everything else, except for maybe the 5% of the things that we deal with, are all lifestyle. All of it. Cancer is lifestyle. Now, there are some things that can be passed on through family epigenetically, but it doesn't mean that it has to happen, right?
Genetically?
Epigenetically. Okay. Or genetically, but
And then the epigenetics.
Right. Yeah. And so it's taking that step back and yes, building your team and understanding that all of the choices that you make are lifestyle choices. And then what happens very often is created by the choices that we make. And so it can be as simple as, let's sit up straight.
Exactly.
Let's put the phone down. I mean, there's a lot more to it. I have my own little interesting story that I was having, significant neck pain right here for, I think it was a year and a half. And I'm like, I know it's biomechanics. I also know that biomechanically I'm a train wreck. But it's okay, I deal with it, right? I have my team. But I could not figure out what was happening. But I was sitting at my desk all day long, not getting up. And I was going to my chiropractors, I was going to my PTs, I was going doing massage therapy. I was doing all the things that I thought was right. And then I got a stand-up desk. And now I have a stand-up desk with a rebounder under it. Like, have I told you that?
You didn't tell me about the rebounder yet.
Yeah, stand-up desk with a rebounder. And so I am rebounding on a regular basis, which can help with, blood pressure and all the things. But point to all of that is, I was basically sitting like this. Even though I did a lot of yoga, I typically sit pretty up straight. Yoga has been what has helped me to be aware of my posture and sit up straight. But I was at my desk like this, and it kicked my ass.
That will contribute to degenerative changes in the spine, and it impacts the nervous system as well, but that's what causes a loss of range of motion and that stiffness to occur. And so those issues, there's an average. If you're above that average, then it means you're not going to be predisposed to chronic pain or numbness and tingling or headaches. And if you're under that average, then you are going to be predisposed to chronic pain in the future. And
how do you find that average? What do you?
So that'd be through an X-ray.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And so there is a normal average that we expect to see, a normal range, and if you're under that, then it's going to contribute to the degenerative changes and decrease in that longevity that you have as far as the usage that you're going to have of your body.
So so I think of x-rays that I've seen in my own x-ray, so, and a lot of people have a straight neck.
That would be a perfect example of being under that limit. And it's 20 degrees, roughly, is the number that you're looking to be above. If you're below that 20-degree mark, then you're going to be in that category of being predisposed to chronic pain.
Yeah. Do you do x-rays in office?
If we need to use them, we have an imaging center. It's pretty much right next door that we'll refer people over to.
Cool. That's what I thought. I didn't remember seeing an x-ray machine in there, but I think that x-rays are important. I know a lot of people also are, I was one of those people, afraid of x-rays, afraid of, too much of the x-ray radiation and that kind of thing.
You get more radiation on a flight to New York now than you do from a newer type of x-ray unit, which is the imaging center we use. They have that, and so it's, understand the thought and the concern behind that with people, but the information that comes from it is, I'll say it's invaluable, because without seeing a picture, you don't really know for sure what's going on in there. And if you want to get to the bottom of the issue, well, picture's worth 1,000 words.
Well, it's true, and you have to have the data. You have to have the information. I mean, it's running an X-ray in my mind is, just like running labs. You got to look at what the body's trying to tell you, and sometimes you got to see what the body's trying to tell you.
Exactly.
And
you don't want to guess.
Are really important. Yeah.
Right. It's like, well, what's causing my high blood pressure? Well, there could be a number of different reasons. We need to do testing to figure this out. What's causing my neck pain? Well, it's just a tight muscle. Well, why does he have a tight muscle?
Well, yeah, always ask why.
Right?
That's the key,
exactly.
Right? So always ask why.
Yeah, so the more information we have, the better choices we can make and better decisions and direction or coaching we can receive to be able to help ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but yeah, the poor posture also impacts our ability to breathe. If we're breathing more shallowly, then that's going to, tongue twister,
yes, it is.
at least for me, that's going to create more tension in the muscles in our neck, but also it's going to deoxygenate our body, and it's going to potentially cause more cold hands, cold feet, decreased digestion, throw us more into that fight or flight and anxiety type of state. And so there's so many impacts that poor ergonomics can have in our overall health.
So I want to hit on this real quick because this is so interesting for me because we come at this from different modalities, but we're seeing the same, and similar symptoms.
Some patterns as well,
yeah. And so for me, when I see, people who are dealing with cold hands and feet, my first thought is, let's check your thyroid. And this is why it's so important to have your team. Because sure, there could be thyroid dysfunction, but maybe there's not. So what's causing your cold hands and feet? Or is it both? Or did one create the other, right? Could you have structural issues and things that you need to go see Dr. Isaac for that are impeding the function of the thyroid?
Interesting you bring that up, because the thyroid is something, when we have lost that curvature in our neck, it's very common to see a thyroid condition also being present with that.
Interesting.
Yes. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a one-to-one ratio, but there's very high tendency for us to see that.
Well, and we see thyroid dysfunction in a lot in women. We see it in men and in women, but we see it so often in women. I mean, people, they come to me on such a regular basis going, I've been diagnosed with hypothyroid. So nobody ever asks why. So, but I do, right? You do. Why? What's going on? And is it truly thyroid dysfunction? What's creating that?
Yes.
It's so, going back, and I probably repeat it too many times, but I can't not repeat it. Always ask why. If you have a diagnosis, if you have a symptom, if you have an issue, ask why. And if you get an answer, ask why again. If you get another answer, ask why again. You got to keep asking.
You have to dig down. It's not just how do we manage the symptom.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very surface level approach, but if you really want to take care of yourself holistically, you need to ask why, right? You need to be your own advocate. And so many people I feel have been disempowered by the medical system. It's just the white coat. They told me I need to do this, and so I'm going to do that without even seeing if there's another approach. We have the best urgent care system in the world, number one. Out of the healthcare systems of the world, out of, say, the top 45 countries, we're like 41st. It's like, okay, we need to ask questions. We need to be advocating for ourselves. Why is one of the best ways to do that, as far as what to say to your providers?
Yeah. It's so true. And what you say is what I feel, and I say a lot as well, is so often when people come to me, or I think to any provider in our world, sort of the functional, holistic, whatever you want to call it, world, is they're frustrated, they're angry, they're mad, they're not getting answers. The whatever the issue is just keeps happening, and they're like, why is this happening, and why am I not getting any help? And it really is that I say exactly what you say. It's they come to me disempowered, and all I want is to empower them with knowledge. And it's that empowering with knowledge on their own body, on what they have the capability of doing, how they have the capability of working through this, just by asking the questions and digging for the root cause, and finding their team who are there to help, to support, and not say, this is your problem, go get a drug and we'll see you later. Totally. Or not see you later.
Yeah, totally. It's just on the disempowerment, I think the people that are self-advocating for themselves, they're the ones that they have, I'll call it a free agent team. They're looking for the best fit for them, and they're willing to pay to find that, right? It's not like, well, what is my insurance? Who do they want me to go to?
Yep.
Your insurance company does not have your best interest at heart. Their best interests at heart are to put your money, into the pockets of their stockholders.
Yeah.
And according to Medicare, I can't remember which rule or law it is, but they specifically say any treatment or approach that's being utilized to prevent a disease is not medically necessary. It's like, that's the definition of what we should be looking for, of like health, right? And it's not health insurance, it's sick insurance. And we have a big sick care system. They don't make money unless people are sick. They don't want people to die. They don't want people to be healthy. They're stuck in the middle. So in order to be advocating for yourself, you have to get out of that system. At times you definitely need it, because if you have a cancer diagnosis or you have a heart attack, whatever it is, you want to have that added insurance to help you through that, right? But if you want to prevent those issues, you need to be going outside that system, being proactive, advocating for yourself and your family.
Yeah. It's so true. And, so often what I see is, this is not a slam on, I think that it's the system, it's not individual doctors a lot
of the
time.
Systemic.
It's the system, yeah. But what I see are, if you do start advocating for yourself, and you say that I don't think that this is, your answer is necessarily the answer for me, they'll get mad.
They can. I've heard people getting kicked out of the bad doctor's office, and it's like, they need to be open to different approaches to best help their client. That's what they're there for, is to help their client understand different options for care. It's not just a one-size-fits-all approach or one pill for every person.
Right.
We all have different epigenetics and genetics that we need to take into consideration, or even our own beliefs, right?
Yeah.
Those are all factors that are being, I'll say, whitewashed, I feel, in medicine. It's like everybody's fitting into a square hole. I'm a round peg. I don't fit in that.
Yeah.
My kid is not the same size or shape, right? We're all different. We all have different needs, different nutritional needs, and it takes a team to be able to help us get to the outcome that we're looking for, and it's a continual journey to chase health. It's not just a destination.
Yeah.
You have to keep moving in life. Things change, and it's a moving target.
It's true. And I do think too, I think it's important for a lot of people to have your allopathic practitioners on board with your team. And those practitioners, in my mind, should be open to you discussing your needs with your team, right?
They should embrace connecting with your team as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, hey, this is what we see, this is what you see. Hey, well, maybe there is a goal of that individual. If they're on 10 different medications, I want to get off these medications. I don't want more. So, doctor, can you work with Nikki and help me figure out how do we decrease these medications as we're going through a program to help decrease cholesterol, decrease blood pressure medications, decrease my diabetes meds, right? It's not like, oh, you need more medication. Well, if you need more medication, you're not getting healthier.
Right.
That's the opposite of health. You're not building that.
Yeah, and what do we see? We see you're on a medication, then you have to medication to mitigate the symptoms of that medication. Yep. And you're talking again about a whole new spiral that you're dealing with, which is ugly.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, there is definitely a time and place for those things, right?
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah. And it's not all bad, but it's, you know, I think there's, as we're talking, so much of what's going on in our disease processes is lifestyle. How often are we addressing that? How often are we looking at that, right? Is it inconvenience? Well, you want to be healthy? I mean, you need self-advocate.
Yeah.
Totally.
So what are you seeing in practice when it comes to, so an example that I have a nephew who stayed with us for a while, and he was always like this.
On the device.
Always. Yep. It was insanity. But he's not the only one. We're seeing it all the time. Whether they're kids or whether they're adults, we see it all the time. What
Definitely.
are you seeing?
We're so reliant on technology now is like, how do we make it work for us?
Yeah.
Right? And I'll just say, the biggest issue I see with screens is they're not in the ideal position, right? So if you're, regardless if you're using a laptop or a desktop, the monitor, the height of the monitor, the center of the screen should be eye level when you're sitting up straight. So
center of the screen needs to be eye level. Okay.
And so the center of the screen should be eye level, and if you look at the top of the screen, you should actually feel like you're looking up a little bit. Okay, so that's with your computer technology. If you're using a phone, you want to have that here, like resting your arms on your side to hold it up here more in front of you so you can be looking straight ahead using both hands.
So the goal, just to sort of make it easy and make sure that I'm understanding you, is just looking straight ahead. In everything that you're doing, looking straight ahead, not looking down, not looking too far up, just straight ahead.
Yep. And I'm not sure how you're going to do it, but if you have the show notes or whatever, I have a link for an 8-step guide that gives you exercises and stretches and ergonomic and lifestyle tips. So that's going to be available to talk about, because we don't just want to be looking straight ahead. If we're looking straight ahead the whole time, we're going to lose our ability to turn our head. And that's one thing that contributes to the loss of that curve or the forward head, is because certain muscles aren't being used to provide that support to our structure in our nervous system.
So to hit on that just real quick, so make sure that we'll have that link for, so I'm sure you have it on your website.
Yes.
So you have it on your website. We'll also have it sitting in our YouTube notes. We'll have it sitting in the comments section of both Facebook pages that will link to that, and link all of your links will be in there as well. So you can look for that and I'm assuming in the podcast as well, we'll have it all linked in the podcast. I hope.
Yeah. Keep the fingers crossed.
That's Ruth. So I'm sure that she takes care of me and all of that stuff, thankfully, because it wouldn't get done otherwise.
Yeah.
So many things. Anyway, cool. So that'll be a good one. I think it's important because it's one that you can take. You can share it with your family, share it with your kids, even if they don't think it's important. You know, it's those little drips, right? It's those drips on
we need the drips.
Yeah, that's true.
We need those reminders. We need to have resources, and this is just a free resource that's available. And I don't even really, I touch on it a little bit in the guide, but having a sit-to-stand workstation is awesome. To be able to have that as a resource for yourself. Or if you're sitting on the couch, you want to have it like a pillow or two on your lap so you can rest your arms on that. So whether you're reading a book, paper book, or using a tablet or other technology, you can prop that up more, right? Because you want to get out of this looking down. We look down so much as it is already, whether it is for reading or eating or whatever, tying our shoes. You know, we're looking down to make sure we're not tripping as we walk. So that's definitely something else to take into consideration for that to be something that's easier for you to make it work for you, because sitting is actually one of the most stressful positions for our back, and our back is one of the most common, I think it's the number one disability in the world for people to suffer that issue. And if people had their spine as their smile, they'd take better care of it, right? Because you could actually see that it's not healthy. Right? It's not waiting for things to totally discolor and like, oh, my tooth's starting to fall out. I guess I need to do something now. But that's essentially what's happening to spinal health. And the impact on the nervous system is astronomical. And that impacts your health.
I want to hit on something. I'm going to back up a little bit just real quick because it's a little off topic, but I think it's really important because it's not something that I don't think we think about it enough. And it's going back to our laptops or our computers on our laps. This goes back to the electromagnetic frequencies that come off of our computer sitting in our lap, right? So yes, EMFs sitting on our lap. Men, where are those EMFs going?
Yep,
right?
testes.
The fertility rates, sperm count, motility, all of these things in men, I don't remember the number, but they've declined, is it 50% in the last 20 years or 30 years? It's huge.
Our country, our world is starting to go more sterile. That's one reason why there is such a challenge in fertility. And it's multiple fold as far as the reasons, whether it's the EMFs, the chemicals that we're ingesting, any way we're ingesting them, our nervous system being stuck in a fight or flight. There's all these different aspects that impact fertility. It's not just women's, men as well. Totally, but technology is becoming so pervasive that we put it on our lap. It's definitely not doing ovaries or
women,
testes,
it's both.
Favors.
And men walking around with your phones in your pocket. So it's a problem. So I couldn't just let it pass over because it's, I think that's one of those things that really needs to be brought to the attention of people, because I know a lot of people, I mean, I do the same thing. I still have work to do, but I want to be in the family room with my husband or with the dogs or whatever. I'm tired of being behind my desk. So I go sit in the chair, but I have it, just like you said, I have it propped up and I'm protected. But it's important to not let your computer sit in your lap. It's
definitely.
Anyway.
Sponsor?
Totally off topic, but but important.
You have a sponsor.
Do I?
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay.
I mean, not today.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. But that is such. There's so many factors. It can seem like it's overwhelming. Like, well, like you mentioned, thyroid. Well, what about the fluoride in the water that's preventing the thyroid from being able to function the way it's supposed to, right? And there's just like so many things that we need to be aware of, that having a team around you is so important to help you like figure out ways, how do you mitigate this? How do you mitigate that? How do we deal with these stresses we're constantly facing, right? And so there's definitely ways to do that. It's just that you need to be aware of it. How do we help our liver detox? How do we take care of our nervous system so our body can detox the way it needs to? And so it's you need to have a foundation in order to have a solid house. If you just like focus on one leg of your house, you start building it up and you start maybe seeing changes, but then you don't get the changes you're expecting because other aspects of that foundation have been neglected.
Which is not again, but it's so often why we want to really dig for the root cause, the foundation, and start with the foundation, which is again asking why. Because if we're doing all of the stuff up here, I think I'm probably just repeating what you just said, but if we're doing all the things up here, it has the potential of just falling apart. So we can't cover up with drugs. We can't, although we might need them. We got to understand the the foundation. I'm being repetitive.
That's okay.
Anyway.
I mean, I think different words are needed to, everybody hears things a little bit differently through different filters.
Yeah,
some people
true.
don't like my voice, some people like your voice. So,
I think you're mine all the time, but.
Indeed. So, yeah, it's the messages are out there, but just seeking those channels to find those messages through are important to, just, I think a lot of people need to unplug from traditional ways of consuming information. There's a new era that is not being taken over by big companies or have self-serving interests to spread their message saying this is the only way that you can do things, right? There's so many other ways that we can approach our life, right, and get information. This technology is great in some respects because it allows us to connect with people virtually like this, but then also it can be, not healthy for us as well. So we need to figure out how to find that balance in our life in so many ways, whether it's through ergonomics or technology or nutrition and food, exercise. We just can't be going 24/7 or else we're going to wear our bodies out, right?
Define ergonomics.
I mean, ergonomics in general, generally speaking, is the ideal position to decrease wear and tear on your body, to decrease or avoid repetitive stresses on your body. And most people think of ergonomics, I think, from the sense of like carpal tunnel, for example, right? Having the pad that you put your wrist on to help try to prevent pressure and irritation there, having a keyboard that's turned out a certain direction to help with those ideal ergonomics. But we have ergonomics of sleep, right? You don't want to sleep on your stomach, for example. That'd be bad ergonomics for sleep, right? On your side or your back would be the best. And so there's a lot of different things, the way like a coffee cup is even designed. There's ergonomics to that and how you hold it.
Interesting.
I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but sometimes I'll be driving, I'll be holding a coffee mug, and it's like, oh man, my wrist or my hand is not.
Like you gotta.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that. That would be ergonomics as well. That's an example, right? And so there's a lot of ergonomics at play in our world that we're not even aware of.
So interesting. I find myself, can't even give an example right now, but I know I'll do that a lot. I'll put something down like, oh, that's uncomfortable, and you just want to stretch it, and then I'll just put it bigger right back up again.
Right? Exactly.
Pay attention to your body. Your body's always talking to you.
Yeah, another way of looking at those positions, because like if somebody's doing yoga, there's positions there, but the position is essentially a type of ergonomic position, right? Or you can put more stress and strain on something you're not supposed to be, or you're going to be targeting the area that you're intentionally trying to target by being in the right position, right? Or even for somebody that maybe is super stiff, what's right position for one person isn't the right position for somebody else. Different heights or sizes.
You mean we're all individual?
Yeah. Imagine that.
Amazing.
Yes. For sure.
But it's a really good point, is the fact that we need to listen to our bodies, we need to listen to our team, but we know, we can feel, but also let somebody who knows help you through it. And I'm thinking about yoga, because you have your yoga teachers who are going to, and others, but who are going to help you be in the right position for you based on your abilities, which I think is important. So your abilities, sure, it can be how your flexibility, but it's your health. How is, are you hurt? Are you injured? And that it should be that way with, part of your team is your fitness team, people who help you through whatever it is, help you get healthy in that realm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Indeed. You need those tips to help point you in the right direction so you don't hurt yourself. There's a good way to detox, right? And there's bad ways to detox.
Man, people can use the word detox for all kinds of things. I'm like, is that detox?
I need a digital detox.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
There's different types of detoxes as well.
So in your clinic, I think I want to dig into kids a little bit. I don't work a lot with kids, but we went from talking about being on the phones and that kind of thing, and kind of directly into the standing desk. And I want to know, and I want others to hear what you're seeing in your clinic when it comes to kids coming to you. Are you seeing them more often? Or are you seeing patterns that they're coming to you for?
I mean, kids are under more and more stress today than we were when we were growing up, right? There's a lot going on at home, in the world. Technology's changing. There's a decrease in exercise that kids are getting, which is critical for brain development. And so that is definitely a big issue that kids are having. Movement is key to life and development.
Like they got rid of recess, right? I mean,
some have gotten rid of physical education, some have gotten rid of music. I mean,
unreal.
There's these different I don't want to call them modalities, but just different learning styles that certain people gravitate towards that they're missing out on, right? And
isn't that what school's for?
Exposure, I think.
Yeah, exposure, and learn what you want in life, and who you are. And
there's a big there's a big hole there, as far as I feel like is starting to occur with education.
Yeah.
Right. It's they're teaching kids to be in a system versus what is interesting for this person. How do we support this person in their learning and help them flourish? It's like, well, you're getting by. You're going to keep moving on. Right, and it's not there isn't the attention I feel like that's needed to help certain kids have, they're more gifted in, like, I'll say, like, hand-eye fine motor skills, and they are interested in technology. They want to electrical type of things, where they're not fitting in the normal mold, quote unquote, of reading and or sports, right? But let them grow in that world of where their interests lie versus saying, well, you're really good there, but you suck over here, so we need to really focus over here. I mean, talk about a way to disinterest a child in what their gifts are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's it's a whole nother subject and topic, but as far as what we're seeing kids for, I mean, there's so many kids dealing with headaches and migraines, so many kids are dealing with neurodevelopmental issues and challenges on the spectrum, and so
do you have stats on that? Because the stats are pretty phenomenal, and I'm not trying to put you on the
as far as how many kids are
compared to like 10 years ago versus 20 years ago.
It's crazy. I mean, like, it was like 1 in 200 or 1 in 400 that was on the spectrum like 20-ish years ago. And now I've seen numbers that's saying, at least for boys, it's going to be 1 in 24, and it's just like climbing.
Real.
And some people say, well, it's just a matter of having better technology to be able to diagnose
I think that's
these
an excuse
issues
that we get for a lot of things.
Maybe there is better technology so we can catch more things that are outliers that aren't like, screaming at us, but like, oh yeah, you do have these signs and symptoms or issues going on that would put you in that category, but they're not like the big ones, right? They're on the fringes. And so there is probably some of that, but I think it's a combination of stress that our body's under, whether it's the chemical stresses, through things we ingest and inject and rub on our bodies. There's so many metals are being used in our environment, and those are neurotoxins, right? And so really consider those factors for normal development. And then also we have the EMF, as you mentioned, right? And that we don't fully understand what that's doing physiologically to our bodies and impacting our development. And then we have physical stress, or lack thereof, which is important.
Right. We gotta have physical stress, but not too much, right? There's
all these stresses. There's good stresses. There's bad stresses, right? But how do we mitigate the bad stresses, or how do we? I mean, vegetables are good, but if you ate 20 pounds in a day, that would not be good. Right. There's a limit to even good stress. Right. So you need to find that balance, and we are definitely out of balance in a lot of ways in our personally, in our world, society, and I think more people need connection with each other, right? We need to get back to connecting on a one-on-one basis, like being in person here versus virtually is so much, I think it's so much healthier for us. So,
agreed.
yeah.
Agreed. So you hit a little bit on, things that I know you have a handout, but what can you give, like a little guidance, some ideas, things that people can do now to start to pay attention to their posture, to the family's posture, things that they can do in the house or at work that can help?
Definitely. I mean, I'll call them 3 bones. There's more than that. The 3 bones you want to think of for sitting.
Mm-hmm.
One would be your tailbone, right? And that's like
Mm-hmm.
the sacrum, technically
Mm-hmm.
speaking. Right in the middle. A lot of people sit on their tailbone. That's not where you want to sit.
Yeah.
As you're sitting right now, you're sitting up
Yep,
on your
yep.
sit bones,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want to sit on. You should
Yeah.
feel like your belly button's getting pushed forward a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should feel like your shoulders are open.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to help get you more upright. That's going to get you in more the ideal position. So if you are looking at a screen up here, I'm already sitting up straight. Now I need to make sure my screen's up high enough so I'm not looking down
Yeah.
at my screen.
Yeah.
So those would be easy things that you could probably address on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Most monitors, you can put some books or reams of paper or a box underneath to
Yeah.
raise that up,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's an easy thing to hopefully fix at home, since more and more people are working remotely at home.
Mhm.
That's what you could do.
Yeah.
Or even in the workstation or
Mhm.
workplace, you can find something like that. Or ask HR to put in an order so you can get your ergonomics set up. They understand ergonomics. They want people to be
Yeah.
comfortable and healthy in the workplace so they're not missing work.
Right.
Right? So that's, I think, some of the easiest things to do where it's like very low cost or expense.
Mhm.
But taking a little bit a step further, if you are using a laptop, you definitely need to get that up. So you don't want to be typing or mousing up here, right?
Mhm.
Like an
Yeah,
alligator
yeah,
arms person. You want to have that accessory keyboard and mouse so you can be down and having your hands where they
Mhm.
should be, and
Mhm.
the monitor and screen up where it should be as
Yeah,
well. So, and having that, I'll just say, more dedicated workspace, so you're not
Mhm.
going from the couch to the coffee table to the kitchen table, where you can actually get these things set up for yourself to make it as favorable of an environment for yourself as possible.
I would add on there, just for my own, is just getting away from the computer.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And that's one of the things in the guide is you definitely want to
Yeah.
like, don't sit for more than 60 minutes. Get up, move around, go do
Mhm.
something. Give your eyes a break and do some certain eye
Mhm.
exercises or neck exercises. So those are definitely important things that I cover with the guide, which has PDFs in it, and it is a PDF, but it also separate PDF for dialing in your ergonomics, also video links for seeing how to actually do these
Mhm.
things and not just
Oh,
having to
good.
read
Cool.
something.
Yeah.
So there's multiple
Mhm.
ways to consume that resource.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So is there anything that you want to cover that we haven't covered yet?
Pertaining to ergonomics, I mean, it's more than just your posture.
Yeah.
It impacts your whole physiology in your body, and your body's health and your longevity as well. I mean, if you have a history of heart issues in your family, well, you don't want to be putting more stress on your heart through poor ergonomics, right? If you're dealing with asthma and you have lung issues, COPD maybe for some people, you want to be sitting up straight where you can get a full breath in and take advantage of that oxygen capacity that your lungs do have and not put more pressure on them, right?
I think that my understanding, this isn't necessarily my world, but we don't breathe well as a society anyway, right? It's like we're shallow breathers. We breathe with our chest and not with our bellies.
Diaphragm
And
yeah.
And so I would, can your care help with that as well? Can chiropractic care help with that? Is that more practice?
I'll say our bodies have a rhythm.
Yeah.
Right? And so if your body's less stressed, it's going to help change that rhythm in your body. Even with saying that, I think a lot of people do need more breath work, because that is such a huge part of our physiology, helping make our bodies acidic or more basic.
Yeah.
Right? And the oxygen helps with that process. So breath work is something that I think everybody could probably benefit from for the most part.
There was a conference that I used to go to that he would always have as one of his vendors a guy who had a kit to help you learn how to breathe
Okay.
normally with the deep breaths. Because I know when I breathe, and he showed me this, I breathe, my shoulders go up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not supposed to happen.
Nope.
So if you breathe deeply, your shoulders go up. That's a problem. Mine still do. So I need things to work on.
Yes, things to work on. We all have things to work on. We're not perfect, you know, even as providers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not perfect. We all have our shortcomings, and I think, you know, maybe rightfully, but also wrongly, we're put on a pedestal to a certain extent, right? You're so perfect, I'm never going to be able to do that.
Oh,
right?
I know. It breaks my heart when I hear that. I'm like,
yeah,
no,
like,
not
hey, you know what? I just had a lady that she wanted to have an all-natural childbirth, and she came in, she's like, I ended up having to get an epidural, and she was like bummed. I'm like, hey, you did your best, right? That's all you can do is like have an idea of what you're shooting for, do your best, and hope for the best outcome, right? And sometimes we do need to make a little detour, but I want to see people. I want to support people, right, and help them feel supported because I think there is a lack of that support and connection that people have, especially with their providers. You know, accessibility and just that connection of, you know, I want what you want, right? And if you didn't do something the way that would have been ideal, well, I don't want to make you feel bad. You're feeling bad because you're your own worst critic. Right. Oftentimes, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And nobody's ever here to judge, only to help and to guide. Because I hear that all the time. Well, I'll never eat that well. What? You can.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's every day. It's a practice. Everything that we do is a practice every single day.
Yeah. And I guess the one last thing I wanted to touch on that just came to mind is oftentimes people ask me, how often do I get adjusted? Right? And so one of the reasons why I do the frequency that I consume it at for my own adjustments is because of what I saw with research. There was research done that showed if the spine is fixated and not moving in a certain area for 2 weeks, then degeneration starts.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, good to know.
Osteoarthritis, degenerative disc disease, all those processes start to accelerate. And once they're in motion, it's hard to halt that, to stop it. So I get adjusted minimally every 2 weeks.
Good for you.
Yeah, and
very cool.
Oftentimes, if I have something going on, I'll get adjusted more frequently. But that was after I went through a course of care initially to get me to that point where now I can just be supportive and not have to be as intensive in my approach.
Yeah. Love that. All right, how can people find you?
The easiest way, it has the social channels. Phone number is the website, and that's lifetimewellnesschiro.com is the best way. And then we have links to the free resources. You have to go to the bottom of the page to find those, but it's at the bottom of the page for free resources. There's also other tips and guides there as well, outside of the ergonomic one, for stretches, for different health tips and all that. So
good. Yeah, check him out. Go to the website. All kinds of good stuff. It's always good to have, you know, free resources to help move you in the right direction and help you, you know, continue to learn and understand your body and what it needs and who are those who should be part of your team and who can help you move forward and, you know, live big.
Yeah,
right?
and I guess the last thing, just because it didn't really come up, even though we are in the Denver area, right? So that's where the brick and mortar office is, but I also offer complimentary phone calls, consultation, just to help point you in the right direction. So if you're wondering, hey, well, what should I do? Where should I go? And would it be a good fit for us to work together? I like to offer that as a discovery, just opportunity to see what your needs are and concerns or what you have going on, if I can point you in the right direction or offer any help.
Cool. Yeah. Very good. I love it. All right, and of course I am Taste Life Nutrition on pretty much everywhere. So the website, the social media, you can go to the website and fill out a free assessment. I reach out to you personally and we chat about it and see kind of the same thing. You know, is it something that I can help with, or can I point you in a direction that's going to be better suited for you, or do we help you build your team? We do that as well. So Soulful Conception, like. I think we're launching today. I don't really know. But Soulful Conception is a really one-of-a-kind program that I have been working really hard on to help guide women and their partners, their spouses, to prepare for pregnancy. Don't just, move into it willy-nilly. It does happen that way sometimes, but prepare for it, prepare your body for it. The data shows that the more prepared you are to start and grow your family, then the better outcomes will be, and you decrease the negative outcomes that can happen both during pregnancy and after. We have the ability to create a healthy future. Each person as an individual has this amazing ability to create their healthy body, healthy pregnancy, healthy baby, and then of course health for generations to come. It's really phenomenal and fascinating, and it's exciting stuff. So if you have questions about it, of course, reach out to me. You can again fill out the assessment, or you can just fill out the contact page. I'll reach out to you and we'll chat about it. I have amazing experts, like a lineup of people who are here to give you guidance in the program outside of what I know. So I have my own expertise, but I have a lot of people who have expertise in biomechanics. What does it look like to, obviously Dr. Isaac is one of those people, but what does it look like to prepare for pregnancy and to make sure that you are physically in alignment to allow for pregnancy to happen, as well as then of course allow through the pregnancy and birth to be as good as it can be, right? That's the goal, is to have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy birth and a healthy baby. People who are here to help with mindset, who help with IVF. If you're already going through IVF, that's perfectly fine. Experts who do hypnotherapy for fertility. I can't even tell you the cool things that people do to help round out this program so every single person gets exactly what they need and guidance in the area that's most beneficial for them, which is what I love, because I know I'm not the end-all be-all. I would like to think I am, but I'm not. So a lot of really cool people doing cool things to help in your fertility journey. So let me know if you have questions about anything. Happy to chat, and we will see you next week, streaming live here on KUHSdenver.com at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. See you later.